Right. Hey, Gene down here with the Chatham Journal, and I am with one of the infamous Joes, Joe Ovies.
Infamous.
The other Joe's not around here. But hey, some folks are wondering what happened to you because you used to be on the radio dial, but now you've gone to a whole nother way, and we're here at the ACC football kickoff in Charlotte, and you're in Radio Row. So
Yeah.
What is going on?
Well, what is radio, Gene?
What is radio?
What is radio in 2023?
I don't know. What is radio?
It's a whole nebulous concept these days. No, look, what happened to me and Giglio back in April is what's happening to just about everybody in the industry right now. Companies are looking to cut back. Easy way to do that is through payroll, just through budget cuts that way. It wasn't because we weren't getting ratings. It wasn't because we weren't being productive. No, it had nothing to do with that. It's just a simple numbers game. But you see that playing out at ESPN. You see that playing in newspapers. You see that playing out even in non-media industries, just people looking to kind of overcorrect for their bottom line. But, the response that we had after the dismissal was really, really positive. In a weird sort of way, it was like attending your own funeral. All these people, everybody talking about how great everything was, and whatever you do next, we'll check it out. And we had sponsorship support too. People who had spent a long time sponsoring us on the radio said, hey, whatever you guys do next, we'd love to be a part of it. So it gave us the optimism to see if we could just do it. Originally, after 25 years of doing radio, graduating from NC State in 01 and working at 850 The Buzz my senior year, and essentially graduating to being an afternoon talk show host, I kind of accomplished what I needed to accomplish in the market, right? So I thought, I'm tired, man, I'm gonna do something else. But again, the response and maybe the regret of not trying it got us to be really quick in turning it around in less than a week, starting up a podcast. Technology's made it so that I can bring an entire broadcast setup to a card table in a Westin Charlotte lobby. And cameras are small enough now and good enough now that I can get these things on YouTube and people can watch it that way. So we thought, why not? And so far, in the dead of summer, numbers have been good. I have no reason to think that they won't improve once football season comes around and people are really engaging with the Triangle and college sports in general and the Panthers and the Hurricanes. I kind of like the direction things are going right now.
You seem to get a lot of support from the sports community, the colleges, the pro teams.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
The advantage of doing something in one market for a really long time is that, and in our market specifically, people come to the Triangle, they love it, and they don't really want to leave, I mean, how many former Carolina Hurricanes players have you seen stick around? Because the golf is great, the weather's good, people don't bother you, that kind of stuff. So I think once people get here, they want to stick around, and that, shout out to Annabelle Myers. She was at NC State working with football when I was a senior in college. Fast forward to now, she's still there, and we had that relationship, and I can explain to Annabelle, hey, look, the only thing that's changing is that our show is not going to be on the radio anymore. It's going to be on all the other platforms, it's just not going to be on radio. You're still going to get what you would expect out of us, just in this format. And she got it. Same with the Carolina Hurricanes. Long-standing relationship with them, said, hey, look, we're still covering the Canes, just not on the radio. And they're like, cool, got it. And we've had really great access to Rod Brindamore, etc. So I think that's a testament to sports, community, and people who have been here for a really long time understanding what we're trying to do and how sports fans in our area consume and want to feel part of things and how we're part of that.
Is it also a chance for them to kind of test out a new form of media content push out with folks that they trust?
Maybe. I mean, maybe that's the case. I mean, I think they understand that we have reach. Like the ACC is a good example of that too. While we are a local radio show, or we were a local radio show, they understood that an interview that we would do with John Swafford before, or Jim Phillips now, or a coach, has a reach to it because of social media. And I don't think they want to limit that. I think that, again, that reach is important to them beyond just what they're doing on their own. So it's funny how the world is flat thanks to technology. You can take advantage of it if you know what you're doing, and I think we've done a good job taking advantage of it.
How'd your kids and how your wife react when this came down the road?
I mean, my kids were like, when I said, well, I guess I'll do YouTube now, they're like, yeah, because nobody listens to radio. I'm like, all right, guys, you're the reason why I lost my job, but whatever. They're like, no. Just that's for YouTube. You can make money like Mr. Beast. I'm like, okay.
So wait, are you going to be Mr. Beast number 2?
No, absolutely not. That dude, I think the biggest misconception, what I've learned in the less than 3 months of doing this, is that I don't think our industry understands that YouTube, doing social media right, is a full-time job. You know, I am embarrassed by the amount of Mr. Beast interviews I've watched in the last 2 months, just to kind of get a general sense of how we got to where we got. And I had 2 takeaways, ultimately. His content is no different than the old FM morning zoo cruise from the 80s. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
You and I are old enough to remember the wacky, zany stunts that FM morning shows used to do.
Yes.
I'm old enough to remember Jackass. Okay, that was on MTV.
Well, they have. Well, it's now in movies. I think they're up to
movies,
number
but
4. Or
Jackass
whatever.
did their thing on MTV. Mr. Beast figured out the content's good. It's just that people aren't going to those platforms to watch it anymore. People don't watch MTV anymore. People aren't listening to radio as much as they used to. But they're watching on YouTube. So Mr. Beast figured out, all right, I'm going to take these really good bits and just put it on the platform that the kids are watching on. So that was the first thing he figured out, which is brilliant. The second thing, and this gets to the full-time job aspect of it, you know, he's 19, 20 years old when he's getting started. He's got 10 hours a day to talk to his friends, to obsess over thumbnails. Think about that. Thumbnails. I'm sitting here thinking, well, if the content's good, people will be attracted to it. No. If the thumbnail doesn't look good, then they might never click on it. Mr. Beast figured that out. And if you've noticed in the last couple of years, a lot of people are copying what he does, rightfully so, because it's been successful. You copy what's successful. Like he essentially invented the YouTube reaction face. That now everybody, right down to Dan Le Batard and Pat McAfee, if you look at their thumbnails, all they're doing is what Mr. Beast did for sports, where you've got this like a surprised face.
Now is that your
reaction.
best
I'm
Mr.
working
Beast
on my
look?
YouTube face.
Okay.
I'm working on my YouTube.
That's just a little preview, folks.
Yeah, we'll see. I haven't perfected that yet. So yeah, it's just a matter of understanding the platforms you're working with and taking the things that you already do, but presenting them in a way where the audience is. It's as simple as that.
What's the most pleasant surprise or surprises that you've run into in this process?
I think the most pleasant surprise in this entire process was just how much antagonistic behavior that I would get for some of my takes was performative. Like people like, oh, you're this or that, and then when I got let go, I heard from people that were dicks to me on social media, going, hey man, I hate that happened to you. I was like, so at the end of the day, we're all human. So that was a pleasant surprise. Like people who were understandably antagonistic, trolly, whatever, were like, hey man, that sucks, sorry. Always enjoyed what you did. Thanks for chopping it up with me. Hope you understand it was just sports. I'm like, yeah, I got it. Like, appreciate that. So that was a pleasant surprise.
Biggest hurdle?
Well, for me, biggest hurdle is learning how to run a business. I'm a worker bee, man. I've always been a worker bee. What do you need? Cool. I'll do it. You pay me, I go home. Simple as that. Cool. I give you the content, you pay me the money, I go home. Doing this on our own, contacting advertisers, keeping up those relationships. I'm not one to want to ask people for things, So that's probably the thing that's been the biggest hurdle for me is getting out of my comfort zone to be a little bit more like, hey, I need this, or how can we make this work, rather than being like, I'll just do it myself and yada, yada, yada. So that's probably been the biggest hurdle for all this stuff.
All right, you're a techie guy, and looking at your material here, your equipment here, you definitely aren't running this like the Titanic sub with a game console.
No.
So I assume you're the one who put the technical part together.
Yeah, I don't want Giglio running.
Yeah, because Giglio's kind of like.
No, I've seen his workflow on his Mac, and it's terrible. It actually gives me hives. So, we talk about things you can or cannot do about 5 years ago. You and I both know an old engineer of ours, David Modlin.
Yes.
Years ago, I went to David Modlin, and we were going to go to Operation Basketball. I forgot what year it was, but it was just me going. Okay, so I said, look, we're not doing a live radio broadcast. I just need a setup where I can record and send back to the station to do whatever they need. It's like, okay, well, I've got this Mackie soundboard. It's like the size of this table. And I've got this breakout MP3 recorder with XLR cables, okay? And then I got mics, headphones, headphone mics. Okay, so I literally had like an attic, like a Rubbermaid tub, 2 of them.
2 40-gallon tubs?
To bring stuff to the Spectrum Center. That was not fun. Modeling, engineers have a very unsung job of dragging equipment, okay? You know this, you gotta drag camera equipment everywhere, but it's gotten better. So, eventually there's a company called Rode, they're based out of Australia, that came out with a thing called a Rodecaster. And it was an all-in-one box. It was a board, 4 mics, an ability to play little sounders, XLR, you can record directly to an SD card, and it was a game changer, an absolute game changer for remote broadcast or small space broadcasting. And they came out with a new version, which I have here, it's a smaller thing. So everything on the table, everything that I have on the table sans cameras. Cameras are a different thing. But the 3 mics, booms, cables, my laptop, cords, the Rodecaster. Oh wait, no, that's Luke's backpack. My bad. Where did my bag go? Anyway, I can fit it into a backpack. I can literally fit it into a backpack.
Too big for the ACC fanny pack, though, that they're
way too big for that.
Right.
Way too big for that. But ultimately, yeah, I can fit everything that I need for audio in a backpack, and that's pretty wild. So I definitely geeked out on that. Again, microphones, you can make them as expensive as you want.
Now your cameras, do you use face enhancing AI stuff?
No. These are some Amazon Lightning deal Razer gamer like beginning Twitch streamer gamer cameras.
So if they're missing, your kids took them off.
They don't care. They don't care about that stuff. Again, cameras are as expensive as you want to make them, as you know. Lighting matters. Lighting is the thing that matters the most, and that's what we're kind of working on in the studio space. These bad boys cost like $150 a piece, but if I wanted to get serious, I can get like a Sony camera that costs $800, $1,000.
You mentioned studio space. What are you going to be doing with that studio space?
Right now, shout out to Empire Properties and Greg Hatem, Raleigh Times, all those restaurants that they own and retail space that they own. So we have a 10x10 space in what's called eford Studios. It's an old department store, and it's an area for there's a barber across the hall from us. There's a masseuse down the hallway. It's kind of like a multi-use space, and they had a 10x10 room that wasn't necessarily meant for broadcasting. It's old wood floors, drywall with no insulation, drop ceilings. It is really echoey. But they worked with us about getting carpet on the, really like shaggy carpet to dampen the room, sound tiles to put on the wall. It's not soundproof, but it doesn't need to be soundproof. I just got to cut out on the echo. And we're just kind of adding things that kind of show our personality to the walls. It's very dorm-like. We even have a mini fridge in there. So we don't need a lot of space. We just need a place to record.
Is that where you're going to have your brewcast from, or that's going to be on the road?
No. The 919. So we changed it to 919 Vice because we're including things like THCA, Delta 8, various other things, gambling in the future. But we still do that. We do that now at Graffiti, which is a bar in downtown Cary that Wayne, one of our co-hosts, he owns that spot. So we're doing it from there. Just a better open space to do that.
So if the state approves gambling, are we going to have the the Joe and Joe line on each game?
Absolutely.
And it's going to be a pick 'em between the two of you?
I don't gamble, so I'm agnostic when it comes to gambling. But Giglio's all into it.
Oh, that's true.
He probably wants a sports book for all I know.
You might need a bigger studio than 10 by 10.
Yeah.
All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty here. Using up a bunch of your time. If people want to hear you, where do they go? Where do they watch? What do they need to do?
So honestly, just look up Ovies Giglio. Ovies. If you don't know how to spell my name, it's movies without the M. Really simple. And if you can't spell Giglio, just go Giglio, and you're good to go. Honestly, that's how to do it. SEO is what matters there. Look us up. It'll take you to our podcast stuff. We're on YouTube. If you look up Ovies and Giglio on YouTube, you'll see the show page there. You look up, we're on all the podcast platforms. That's how you find us. It's wherever you get your podcasts. You can check it out on YouTube. We got, Instagram with OG Triangle Media on Instagram. Most people will follow us on Twitter or whatever it's called now. So we're available. But again, big thing is just put in that Google search bar or the AI chatbot, Ovies and Giglio. You'll find our stuff.
And when do you do your live sessions?
Live?
Yeah, don't you do some live?
No, it's live to tape. No, so we record in the morning and we premiere it at usually around 10:30. Once we get to the football season, we'll be going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Right now we're on a broadcast schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Once we get to football, We'll do it 4 days a week. Fridays will be like a extra session if a team plays on a Thursday night, Thursday night football or a college game on a Thursday night. But that's what we're going to be doing once we get to football season.
All right. Do you have a Pantheon button or any kind of button if somebody wants to donate towards your?
Yeah. So the podcast platform that we use is called Red Circle, and Red Circle has a little button when you go to our landing page. Donate to this. You can do recurring payments, things like that. We've had a lot of people who have set up for recurring payments. We appreciate that. And what we're doing with that donation money, honestly, because all this equipment was upfront cost, we're good. The donation money, I'm actually kind of doing it for swag, like stickers. We got some color changing cups that we're giving out to listeners, that kind of stuff. We got a tumbler that we're going to be giving away at some point. So all this stuff is kind of going back.
Color changing cups.
What
are we going to have next? Mood rings?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as somebody pointed out to me, you guys basically have a merch table for a small indie punk band. I go, right. That's exactly the vibe that we're going for. I might put out a mixtape. You never know.
All right. Last question. Where'd you get that jacket from with the...
eBay, baby.
eBay?
I didn't raid some old official's closet.
That is
I did not hit up Ryan McGee and ask him if his dad had some jackets lying around.
All right. That is pre-Florida State.
Yeah, 8 teams.
There
8
you go.
teams from the 70s.
Actually, I still have a Hardee's basketball with the 9 teams on it. So
I love it. Yeah, when you come to Kickoff, you got to kick it. You got to do something that makes you stand out.
So this year
makes it look that way.
It's Topps cards, because a couple of years ago you did the old magnetic
Yeah, so
football
last year
field.
we brought 40s of High Life to pour one out for the Coastal Division. A couple years ago, we brought a magnetic football set, and we had the diagram plays. I brought Tecmo Super Bowl a couple years ago. Yeah, let's do a little something fun. This year, cards, Garbage Pail Kids, some 87 tops. It's funny. Like, you bring some 87 tops to a room full of, like, old white dudes in their 40s, 50s, they're going to freak out.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of younger
Oh, they have no idea.
dudes out here as well.
No idea.
So.
No idea. But there are the Bowman cards that actually have some of their former teammates on there. So
Okay.
those are the new hotness, where you got these guys with name, image, and likeness. They actually have some football cards that have their college uniforms on them. So that's kind of neat.
Oh, that may be coming back. I saw a young lady wearing bell-bottom jeans the other day. I'm
That's
like,
right.
That's like 80s stuff. So.
That's right.
But folks, you need to look for Ovies and Giglio, movies without the M. Giglio. There's actually a transportation stop in Venice called the Giglio stop.
Oh, awesome.
So
Awesome.
I'll need to let them know about that. But hey,
Indeed.
they're still around. I don't know what Giglio. He's probably at lunch right now.
He's lunching right now.
He's lunching right now. So he's watching the really expensive equipment and the swag. Joe, thank you very much.
Yeah, man.